What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our channel. I am your host, the real Jussy of the Distorted Theorists, and that is right. Finally, I just got out of the theater for Dhurandhar, The Revenge, or Dhurandhar Part 2 did play in our local cinema this time. And you know, because of our reaction and because of our international viewers that have been requesting that we show love and support for this film internationally here in Canada, I had to go see it on day one to give you guys my foreigner review. I'm not really a foreigner so much because I did watch trailers for Dhurandhar 1 and 2, and I did watch and do a full review, which is over on our channel, for Dhurandhar Part 1. So you know what? I got my legs wet. I got my feet wet here now in the Dhurandhar world. We knew The Revenge was coming. They filmed this film back to back with the original. We had no time to lose. It's only been a couple months since the release of the first one, and they dropped this one, and Toxic got booted at the cinemas because this one was coming in hot. But before I get into talking about my review and reaction and my breakdown today of Dhurandhar The Revenge, as always, if you want to support the channel, we do appreciate if you would just take 1 second to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and please, if you feel so inclined, to hit our super thanks, because all financial help helps us keep watching international films and trailer reactions in the future. Now, as I said in my last review of Dhurandhar Part 1, a few things I just want to say as a foreigner watching these types of films. First of all, I watched it, well, in the theater in its natural language. However, it did have English subtitles. So with that said, if there are any names that I maybe mispronounce, or I forget, or I just refer to the person as a physical embodiment, please don't take offense. I am trying my best. I do have my laptop in front of me in case I do need to take a quick look at someone I may have forgotten. But a lot of these characters, it was a very quick film in the sense of scenery. So some of the names I might not have caught trying to watch and read at the same time, and I do apologize if that happens. The other thing is, I realize this film, just like the first one, is a work of fiction. However, there are a lot of real-world events that intermingle with the storytelling of this, a lot of real-world people that are mingled in here. And, you know, I do realize, as someone who is foreign, these events that did take place in real world, like Pakistan and India, there may be some propaganda around the viewing of this film. So I want to let you know that my review is coming straight from a film standpoint, as a foreigner who watched it and took it as face value for the great film that it was. Understood? Without further ado, let's get into my reaction, my review, and breakdown of Dhurandhar Part 2, or Dhurandhar The Revenge, and there was a lot of it, right now. Okay, as I said in my closing statement just before the graphic, Dhurandhar The Revenge. I totally get now why they said that as the subtitle, because this movie just had so many layers of revenge, I felt anyway. Right off the hop, I guess I should say, for anyone who hasn't seen this, this is totally spoilers everywhere. I'm going to be talking in depth about what I've seen in the film. Last warning. With that said, the movie opens up with literally Hamza's revenge for his family, or Jaskarit, whichever one you want to refer. I'll probably refer to him as Hamza, I guess, a lot. But he is trying to infiltrate some kind of terrorism gang, whatever you want to call it, who has, we found out, brutally mishandled his sister. I won't use the word because I don't agree with it. But, you know, had their way with his sister multiple times. We found out they killed his father. They now abducted his sister. He's going in to infiltrate whatever this establishment is to get her back. He's had enough. The law of India, according to him, has not done justice in this case, and he had to take it into his own hands to protect his family and protect his mother, of course, and to get revenge for what they have already did. Right away, for me, that scene set the tone of the whole movie, because he goes in there guns blazing, which I'll touch on in a second about the action in this film compared to Dhurandhar 1. But he breaks in. He's doing AK-47s. Actually, one of the comments is, how dare you bring an AK-47 into my home type thing. But he just starts lighting up gang members left, right, and center. There was a scene where he stabbed two guys with a sword and shivved them. There was one where I think it was a sword, or a knife was dug in the wall, and he took the guy's throat and like pressed it against it. And I was like, it was graphic. This film was very graphic. This is where I will talk about 2 points, I guess. I don't think anyone is going to disagree with me here, but Dhurandhar Part 1 was a much better film. It had a much better story. It was more engrossing. It had you hanging on the edge of your seat a little more, I felt. But switching gears to Dhurandhar 2, they knew what they were doing. They were giving a massacre. It was revenge. It was death. It was punishment. It was murder. The second one was way more action. So if the first one was more of a thriller, spy thriller, if you will, the second was definitely just more action thriller, 100% adventure storytelling, which was nice because as a foreigner, I was a little worried watching the first one. I thought maybe the second one would be very repetitive in its theme. Totally different. Like, these are two different films. You can even tell by the thumbnails and the posters used for the promotion of these films. The first one is very monotone and browns and grays because it is very storytelling. The second one was heavily promoted with blacks and reds, rain, which looked like raining blood. So that is definitely what you're getting when you watch these two movies. They are totally different. Of course, this one picks up after Hamza's already killed Rahman Dakat, if I'm saying that right, sorry. So now, I was expecting Hamza to try to take over that gang affiliation, the Bolak, I think, is the gang in Lyari. But I thought he would go there right away, but he actually put his Rahman's second in command, I guess. I do forget his name. He was the one that they, again, this is where I apologize. He's the one that they put in prison falsely, and then at the end, they framed for killing an Indian. But I digress. But that was all part of Hamza's plan. He knew he couldn't just go into the throne. It would be too suspicious. So he had to move the chess pieces to get that guy into the seat so that he could pull the dupe, because when he sent him to Dubai, he had the authorities already waiting to throw him into jail, obviously, to get him out of the picture, and he didn't have to do anything, which was good. Which leads me to the part that was really, really cool, was the moment he went in shirtless. You know the one I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. He lights the cigar, he's shirtless, he sits down, and he says, "The king of Lyari." He sits on the throne, on Rahman Dakat's throne that was very heavily touted in the first one as it's a big deal to sit in that chair. And now he did it. He was there, and he felt like he had all the power, which is ultimately what he was doing, trying to rise to power within the ranks, covertly, undercover for India within Pakistan. And he finally achieved that pinnacle. He was the one now calling the shots. Everything going on in the terrorist activity of Pakistan was being ran through him. That's exactly where he needed to be. And again, it just goes back to that theme of revenge. He was in that moment getting revenge on Pakistan, fictionally, for what he believed was right, for what they've been doing to his country. And he even listed that later in the movies where he was like, again, I apologize, but he was like, event number 1, 60 Indians killed. Event number 2, 100 Indians killed. Then he talked about the Mumbai attack 1126 or 2611, sorry. And he said like 150 Indians killed. And he said, are we the bad guys? No. He said, I have no qualms with Pakistan. It's the terrorists in Pakistan that he's trying to deal with, which I thought was really nice because it shows that this movie was never meant to propagate India versus Pakistan, I don't think. I honestly don't, as a foreigner, I don't believe that's what the theme is supposed to be. It is about him taking down terrorists within Pakistan, the evil side of Pakistan, if you will. I want to switch gears again. That's my review on the action part. Really good story. Let's talk about that love story for a second with Yelena Jamali. I asked in my first video, I commented a lot. You guys commented, and I would love some more comments about, is their love true? Okay, I asked, because he's infiltrating India, he's making a life with this woman, he's infiltrating Pakistan, as an Indian. He's making a life with this woman, does he actually love her? And a lot of you guys comment, no, he doesn't. He's like, this is all part of his mission. Others were saying, no, he definitely does. This is true. He had to do what he had to do. And then there was a bit of a mix where people were saying he only loves Yelena because of the mission, but his feelings are true. Their intimacy is real because they had really good on-screen chemistry. Now, I will say that Yelena didn't really have a lot of screen time, I felt, in the second one compared to the first one, or at least if she did, her presence wasn't as gripping, but I will say, I definitely had one of these faces when she went through the closet and found his Hamza's hidden booklet with the invisible ink. She come out and put the gun and she says, "Are you an Indian, like undercover Indian or an Indian asset?" I think it was. And like I was sat there going like, "Oh my God," because in the first one no one knew, and in this one people started to find it, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is gonna have a ripple effect." Now, luckily, like she said, the love was on her side. She do love him. He never really said it, but there were a lot of moments in this film, especially at the end when he's looking at the photograph, and obviously they have a kid now in the second one, which obviously years has passed, so it was really cool to see. He was looking at that photo. I do believe, I'm going to go, my opinion is that he definitely did love her and his son. But I think ultimately, the love of his country did come first, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to, look at that. But I do believe he had true feelings. And in the end, I don't think it was easy for him to give up that life to return to India, which obviously is in the ending act there, which was great to see. And I'll touch on that a little later. I want to switch gears once again. Major Iqbal. He got his. Fuck you. Okay. I wanted it. He was the big bad. I wanted him to bite it. Hamza lit his ass up. And I got to talk about as well, when Hamza walked out with that chain with the, I'm going to call it a scythe, but I'm sure there's a better name for it, where he whipped it around and sliced off his leg. I was like, bro. And then he dragged him to the kerosene thing and dumped him in it and lit. He's so badass, right? Ranveer Singh is so badass. Great acting by his part. I said it in the first one. He was great in that as well. This one actually gave him, the first one had more, just that acting. He had a lot more acting and just more emotion in that film. This one was just like, okay, Ranveer Singh, he's badass. Let's give him some weapons. He's going to F some people up. He's going to F some people up. And he definitely did. But yeah, the fight scenes in this one were just so much more crazy. Oddly enough, the first one, I think, though, was more gruesome with the torture scenes, or, two specifically, the Man of 1,000 Hooks. We all know that scene. Not going to get in. I almost threw up on that one. But the other one was when Rahman Dekat bashed that guy's head in with the rock. That was also pretty sick. This one was just more bullets and knives, a little bit of blood. There was nothing too gruesome. I do remember there was one scene he picked up a cement block and smashed into dude's head. I was like, shit, that's definitely gonna hurt. But in the end, he did what he had to do. And I'm actually happy for him, because following the character, again, as a foreigner watching this, I was rooting for his success in many ways. And he succeeded his mission. He succeeded in saving his family, both families at that. He succeeded in saving his sister and his mother family. He also succeeded in saving his kid and Yelena, his wife. At the end, it's very ambiguous. And I want to touch on this for a second, because it's a vibe I got. At the end of the very end of this film, he's approaching his family home. As you know, he sees his mom, and he sees his family interacting, and he pauses. He wants to run up to him, but he doesn't. But he stops, and he looks left, and there's just an empty road. And he looks right, and there's an empty road. And I really took that as, an entendre that, does he go one route where he returns to his family, his true family, or does he think about the possibility of going back to his other family? That's the way I took it. But the screen fades, we get credits, and we don't know what his decision is ultimately be. Maybe he does change his mind, or maybe he lives a life completely unrelated to either of those just to get away. But I am glad that he got returned to India. He did have success that way as well. A lot of people in my comments from our international viewers on my first review and my first reaction said, there's so many nameless heroes from India that did exactly this undercover. They never got the reward. They never got the to return home. They had to stay where they had until the mission was complete. They never got an award or medals or their name up in lights. They were nameless, and they did this for their country. We also seen that, and I'm totally not going to remember. I think it was Amal. I think. I apologize. It's whoever runs the tea shop. That guy, obviously, and I'll touch on something else in a second. That was really cool. Sorry, there's a lot happening in this film. I'm trying to keep it cool. But he found Hamza after he beat up his brother, best friend, whatever you want to term you want to put on him, from before. And he said, my mission ends here. You're the guy now. You got to carry this on. It's no good for me. I'm old. My mission's complete. You carry on. And he sliced his face up with the mirror shard, and Hamza had to put him down. I mean, I know that he struggled with that, but these people are dedicated to their cause, which was really cool. And again, acting to see, but I want to touch, so that was really, really cool to see how the mission, how people really followed through. The Indians really followed through with their mission. Was really, the dedication was unreal. The torture, bearing torture, unreal. But one cool thing that the director did in this film, and it threw me off for a second, because when I seen it, I was like, whoa, like, is this going to be more? Is when his friend, and I do apologize, Pinda, I think is what he called him, but I'm not sure if that was his real name, Pinda, does the drugs, and they're in the washroom with the marble floors in Hamza's house. And he started hallucinating, and Hamza was like turning white and go like that. And it was like a zombie. I was like, this is sick. And then they got in the fist fight, but it kept popping up. I thought that was a really cool direction to go with the film, to just kind of shake it up. Again, totally distinguishing itself from that original film. I mean, the first film was very grounded. This one was a little more, we're going to turn it up. We're going to turn it up here on this one. But again, it brings us right back to revenge. I mean, this guy, he had so many debts he had to settle. There was a part in the third act, somewhere around the 3-hour mark, if I'm not mistaken, of this film, because it was a 4-hour long film. You guys must be eating this up. He started taking out, he had the list in his book. He was taking out bad man after gang leader after terrorist organizer, killing everyone. He burned down all the fake bills that they were making in the 500 and 1,000 crore, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm saying that right. Just burned it to the ground. I'm surprised actually in that scene, because the main terrorist that was like living in that warehouse organizing those bills called him for help, obviously, when they shut down the bill usage. There was a lot of, that was the rain scene. That was the scene where the red rain was coming down in the trailer. I thought there was going to be a little more to it, but ultimately he just choked them out and like threw them into the power cables down below, which he electrocuted, which was also really cool. Another time my jaw dropped. Sorry, man. I'm trying to, guys, I'm excited about it. I'm trying to think of everything I've seen. I love the ending scene. Again, back to Major Iqbal before he killed him. When they were in the meeting and the door shut and everything looked really sus, but we knew he knew. We knew at that point that Major Iqbal knew he was an Indian asset. He had a plan all along. Hamza had this plan all along, and when he stabbed Hamza in my jaw, again, I was like, oh no, is he gonna die? And then of course they both got into a big racket. Then the bombs went off and blew the floor out, and I was like, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it? And it kept you on the edge of your seat. It was wild that you just had to hang on. You had to go for the ride. That's what Dhurandhar, the revenge, was all about. You had to go for the ride. On top of that, yeah. So once they end up fighting, I love the part that Major Iqbal had the chains on his face and he was like pulling on them and his face got all bloody. And there was a couple times he screamed, and I know I keep relating it to this film, and they're unrelated, but I did also watch that film Chava that recently came out, and he was covered in blood in that film as well. And that really reminded me of scenes from that. And that was a very powerful and emotional film as well. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure go check it out. But it was something else I caught. In the trailer for Dhurandhar, they used scenes in that trailer that I did not see in the original movie. But guess what? Because these two films were filmed in sequence, I think they pulled a lot of scenes from Dhurandhar Revenge that we at the time, the viewers, didn't know belonged to that. Like, example, the final shot where they're in the ship dockyard or whatever, where all those shipping containers were. That's in the first trailer. Where his face is bloody, that's in the first trailer, but ultimately was like one of the ending scenes in Dhurandhar The Revenge. I can't say enough stuff about these two films, enough good stuff about these two films. As a foreigner, we watch these trailers sometimes. You guys recommend it. You support us with the donations on our Super Thanks, which again, we appreciate if you do that. It helps us open our eyes to more cinema. And you guys brought me on to the trailer reactions of Dhurandhar. This was like a year ago. I watched the trailer. It got my attention. You guys kept saying, as a foreigner, don't just watch the trailers. Don't just do this for views. Don't just do this to make money. Watch the films. I guarantee you, I watched both trailers for both films. I went and watched the Dhurandhar on Netflix just a few weeks ago when it first came out. This one I went to the theater to see for you guys, so that you guys told me, don't just play a game. Don't just watch the things for views. Go and watch the movies. I do not make anything up. I'm not lying. I do what I do because I enjoy discussion. I want everyone down in the comments right now, if you've seen this film day one, let me know in the comments what you thought. By all means, if I said anything wrong, if I misinterpreted anything, or my opinion just simply doesn't align with yours, keep it clean. But in the comments, let me know. Let others know what you thought. Talk about your favorite scene. Talk about how brutal it was. Do you like Dhurandhar or Dhurandhar Part 2 better? And why? Let us know. Every little comment, every recommendation from our international viewers, and of course any local ones who may be from India, Pakistan, or whatever, that recommend these trailers and movies. We love to hear about it. We can't do them all, but I do try my best to get the ones that we feel does stay on brand and does give us excitement. And I am so happy that I watched Dhurandhar and Dhurandhar Part 2. I don't know if there'll ever be a third one. Probably not, but that's okay. We still have Toxic to look forward to. Come on, it's going to be good. You know that with Yash, and rumors keep swirling. It's building up. KGF Chapter 3 is supposed to be on the horizon, and that is to date. KGF trailer reaction number 2 is our highest viewed film of all time on our YouTube channel. But hey, let's make this one just a little bit better. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me for my brand new official Out of the Theater reaction review and breakdown of Dhurandhar The Revenge. It's been a pleasure. As always, if you want to support our channel, we do appreciate if you would just take 1 second to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and as I said, leave me a comment down below. Have you seen Dhurandhar The Revenge on day one? Have you seen Dhurandhar Part 1? And which one of these two films takes it home with the gold medal as the best Dhurandhar film of the two? And with that, I am the real Jussy of the Distorted Theorists. And like we always say around here, keep it real.